Okay guys, so for episode number 5 of the Performance Enhancing Drug series, I want to take a little look into drostanolone, or frequently known as Masteron. Now, Masteron is a DHT derivative, and that just essentially means that it is a structurally or molecularly altered kind of version, if you like, of DHT, dihydrotestosterone, and it's relatively moderate in terms of its anabolic and androgenic effects, and it has quite a lot of practical application in the bodybuilding industry, mainly due to its ability to increase things like protein synthesis. It will increase nitrogen retention. I think people often as well will refer to its sort of hardening effect on the body just off the back of its androgenic nature. But it also has impact on estrogen in terms of it's relatively suppressive when it comes to your serum estrogen. So that's obviously going to promote a more favourable, if you like, androgen to estrogen ratio. I'd like to think that in comparison to a lot of other anabolic steroids, Masteron's relatively mild. You'll still have to keep your eye out for your generic kind of DHT androgenic side effects. So things like acne, baldness, body hair maybe as well. You know, you're going to have to keep an eye out for those. But again, in comparison, it's a relatively low risk, mild steroid. Other thing to watch as well would be your lipid profile. It's not something that everyone sees, but some people see a little bit of a skewing of their lipid profile, so just keep an eye out there. In terms of dosage, I'd say that your practical application is probably going to favour a more of a sort of fat loss or a deficit phase. You're going to look to take advantage there of things like the estrogen suppression and the hardening from the androgenic side of it, and a dosage of like 200 milligrams, I suppose, would be relatively decent there. For me personally, I've ran it between 100 and 200, just chasing those simple benefits. But realistically, there shouldn't really be a need to kind of push it past 300, 400 milligram. I don't see the point. I think that there's far better drugs you can use if you're chasing the extreme anabolic effect of Masteron. So that's sort of an indication for dosage. 200 milligram is roughly your sweet spot. In terms of ester, the most popular two would be a propionate, so like a 2-day ester, and then an enanthate, more like a 7, 8, 9 kind of day ester. I think that propionate, again, similar to the previous video with nandrolone, makes more sense in terms of getting it in and out, but it depends on the stack design. I don't think there's really much of an argument for either. At the end of the day, it's an ester, the drug's the same, so I wouldn't stress the ester too much. But yeah, 200 milligrams, between 100 and 300 probably is your sweet spot dosage wise, and other than that, guys, that's a relatively brief overview of Masteron or drostanolone. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight.